So my journey with stuff has definitely evolved over my travels. I left the US with one suitcase, one cat as my carry-on, and one box of stuff at a friend's house. Just memorabilia from a study abroad trip that I did when I was younger and stuff that was important to me that I wanted someday. That being said, the way that my brain works, if she lost that box or if it just disappeared, I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? I don't think about these things unless I'm specifically needing to, like making a video on this and thinking about where my stuff is, for example. But yeah, that's all I had. Um, I traveled for about 6.5, 7 years with just the one suitcase and a little. After my cat passed away, because she was my carry on. I would check her as a carry on. And so wasn't allowed to then take a carry-on. So after she passed, I started to bring either a small backpack or some kind of small carry-on that is what I use to keep my important stuff, like important documents, my computer, my camera, things that, want in check luggage, right? Like I don't want disappearing on me. I'd prefer to have those things with me at all times. So those types of things go in my carry-on. And then the suitcase, it's a mixture of clothes, shoes, and everything else. And I did get fed up after 7 some odd years. I decided to switch to 2 suitcases. And I did about a year. Yeah, I think I bought those around last October. It's now January. Not last October, the one before that. October 24. I'm going back to 1 suitcase. It turns out, while I like the extra space of 2 suitcases, I just don't think it's going to be useful for my upcoming trips that I have planned and the lifestyle I'm kind of switching up. So I'm going to leave one of the suitcases here in Ecuador filled with some stuff and I will just come back for that. It's some other time. And that's how my travels, my stuff have changed. I have now gathered little pockets of little it's like it's like a little squirrel with their acorns for winter, right? I have little boxes of stuff around the world. Left at friends' houses that don't mind. Um, I have now a suitcase full of stuff in England. Basically, my suitcase that I started out with, Big Blue. I never did give her a proper name, but Big Blue has been all over the world. She's been every single continent and was getting pretty beat up. So I decided to retire her, and she now has a bunch of stuff with at my friend's house in England. And then I still have the original stuff in Ohio. I also have a box of stuff here in Ecuador because during the pandemic, I spent about 2.5 years here, mm, coming and going a little bit, but mostly just here. And so those are more like house things. Like I have an electric kettle that I use when I'm here and it gets all packed up and stays in my friend's house. But then the next time that I come back, I don't have to start over from scratch and buy everything for the house again. Which, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I stay in Airbnbs. They typically have utensils and stuff, but some may not have things like an electric kettle. And I don't know how I live without one of those. Um, so little pockets of stuff here and there, but for actual travel, it is just the suitcase. And I'm going back to that, like I said. But there is, like, I think one of the things that is most surprising to me is the amount of stuff that goes into nomading that's not the typical packing stuff that you would think about. And I mean, each person is different. I've seen people that do it out of carry-ons. They're pretty amazing. But for me, it's like I've got my shoes, and right now I currently only have 2 pairs of shoes. And then I have my clothes. And then what I will do is there's all this minutia. It just adds up. There are like the little microphones that I'm using to record this. There is my um all the little cords for stuff. Like there's so many cords. I just don't understand. But everything to charge every little device that I have. There are my important documents. There are SIM cards for some of the different countries. There's things like, um, oh, I don't even know. I have a little bag of currency for the different countries so that when I go back to Europe, for example, I have like 15 euro. So I don't have to get cash immediately. I have a little bit on me. um, there's all this back and forth, this give and take between, is this something that is important enough to me to go, or is this something that I leave in this country for the next time that I kind of swoop back around with those countries that I return to? And it's funny because it doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up. The little speaker that I have, because I like listening to music out of a speaker sometimes across the room versus just the tinny kind of device. um, that adds up. And then it's like, do I take all of these clothes, or what is the weather going to be like? What's the temperature going to be? That all gets factored into my decisions and stuff when I'm packing. It's how much is this item going to be used, and will it be used often enough to make it worthwhile? Or how much does this item cost? Is it something that I can donate here and then buy in the country that I'm going to? And I do want to mention that because that just fits in with my lifestyle and my beliefs about life and how we, could just consuming less. I am a big fan of thrift stores. Some countries are called secondhand stores. In England, UK, they're charity shops. Love, love, love them. Most of what I wear is from thrift stores, and it helps me to not feel bad about just this constant sort of buying and getting rid of that I do, because I'm not buying new for the most part. I will adapt my suitcase based on the weather, based on where I'm going, based on what I'm doing. So, for example, right now I'm in Ecuador. It's extremely mild here. It is wintertime, it's January, but the temperatures are around 21, 22 degrees Celsius. So it's quite nice. Um, this upcoming year, though, I'm going to be traveling to Japan, and I'm going to be there as it gets hotter there. And I'm also going to be coming back to Europe, hopefully, spending some time in England, which honestly, July in England, it doesn't mean anything. It could be quite cold and rainy. And then after that, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to spend the latter half of the year. So it's trying to plan as best I can. For example, I have a big bulky winter coat that would take up most of the suitcase. And I will probably need it toward the latter half of the year, but I have to decide, is it worth schlepping it around until then, or do I just leave it here and deal without having that, you know? Because winter items, they do take up quite a bit of space. But it's this constant ebb and flow. Like, I have some things right now that I don't wear enough. They need to go to a secondhand shop before I leave Ecuador, and that'll free up some space for me to get some other stuff wherever I end up after this. So, yeah, it's a really great lifestyle in terms of requiring mindfulness. I have to think about everything that I buy. Do I really need this? Is there space for this? And am I going to use this enough to make it useful? Or is this just a want to have this, nice to have this? And so my consumption has reduced a lot over the years. But what I find is great about that is that I just don't have the desire anymore. I can go to a store, like go to a shopping district, some beautiful ones around the world, and I can look, I can stare in the windows and see beautiful things and admire them and not think, I have to go buy that right now. Also, just frankly, as I'm getting older and my lifestyle change, I mostly just want to be at home or in nature. And none of those require fancy clothes. So I don't buy a lot of the pretty things that I see, but I can admire them. So for me, just all around, um, this travel lifestyle has helped me to live a truly minimalist life with very little items. And it's incredibly freeing. It's incredibly freeing. I look at the way that I used to live, and I look at the way that many people I know live. In the US, garages filled with stuff. Can't even park cars in them because there's so much stuff in there. Basements filled with stuff. Just this get, consume. I saw a documentary once that said something like the average American household has 150,000 items. And I thought to myself, whew, that's wild. It's absolutely wild. But back when I owned a home with my ex, like, we couldn't park our car in a garage sometimes. So guilty, guilty, guilty. But The change has been wonderful. I feel good. I feel lighter, and I feel like I have enough. I have never felt wanting for anything. Um, that's been more than a passing kinda just like, "Oh, I want that," and then it kinda goes away, but, like, no, I have everything I need to live and to live a good life, and most people that encounter me, I don't think, would notice that I am a minimalist. They wouldn't notice that I wear the same clothes a lot. You'll see it in these videos, I wear a lot of black, I have different scarves and stuff, I change it up, but in these videos, I'm pretty much wearing the same few things. I have a few more things than that, but it just helps me to keep decision making out of it when I sit down to make these videos, but then also just it's what I've got. It's what I've got, and I'm not ashamed to show up wearing the same thing over and over or to be using something until its life truly gives out versus the way that I think I was before, where it was very much more, oh, this is a little worn down. Let me just run to the store and replace it. So, altogether, nomadic life, minimalism, it's been a great, great um, chapter of my life.